Hello, and thank you for joining me. I'm making this video to give a perspective on Niantic and the awesome software they've made, and analyze the difference between them. Now, I'm not making this video specifically to be incendiary, but I am trying to get your opinion. I want you to tell me, why am I wrong? Give me your 2 cents in the comments, like or dislike the video. I appreciate your feedback. Most of what I'm going to say in this video is entirely from my own perspective, and I'm not going to do much in the way of fact-checking or source citing. As the title states, this is one man's perspective. Now, to set the stage, I'll tell you that I'm 34, I'm a husband, father of 2, video gamer, reader, runner, and I work a full-time job. I'm rather busy, so I kind of have to pick and choose my spare time activities wisely. Now, I think I do a pretty good job striking a balance, and while I wish I had more time to play hours of video games every day, family time, career, physical exercise, and media projects like these, I find more rewarding. So let's start by talking about the developer, Niantic. They were a part of Google, and they developed their first app, Field Trip, in 2012. This was followed shortly by their first game, Ingress, which, for the first year, was open to invitation only. In the past few years, they've split from Google and have developed the massively popular game, Pokemon Go, which, according to Wikipedia, reports indicate that users are spending more time on Pokemon Go than on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Tinder, and Instagram. The source was cited as TechCrunch, but you will note that it did not say combined. I actually got Field Trip years ago. I thought it was a really neat idea. The concept was that you'd get a notice on your mobile whenever there was something in the vicinity worth checking out. I never really found it to be all that useful. It seemed to me that it only buzzed when I was around stuff I already knew about. Now, what do I mean by something? Generally, this means statues, plaques, fountains, anything built to be decorative or commemorative. If you've played either of the games that we're about to talk about, you know where this is going. So I all but ignored Field Trip until one day, January 2013, I was browsing the Google Play Store for a new app, and this neat-looking game came up on the features list. Ingress. What could this be? Looks kind of cool. Downloaded it, sight unseen, opened it up, and was completely confused. I don't really remember how I figured it out. I suppose it was probably the in-game tutorial, but I was very intrigued. Always been a fan of AR games. I'm level 21 in Spec Trek. I played several iterations of Zombie Run, but this new one, Ingress, had a polish factor and a community, so I was really dragged in. Now, in case you don't know anything about the game, it's a team-based, territorial control game. There's real-world locations known as portals, and you take control of these portals by putting items known as resonators on them. Any fully powered portal that your team controls is linkable with other portals that are fully powered on your team. And if you link 3 portals together, it creates a control field. The bigger the field, the more points you earn for your team, and the game's regional and global scores are displayed in the game. Items are found by hacking portals, and portals can only be hacked so many times a day. There are more types of items than just resonators. You can use XMPs to boom or destroy other enemy portals. There are the rare viruses, which can switch one portal from a team to the other team. Shields and turrets make portals harder to destroy, and heat sinks and multi-hacks increase item output. You level up very slowly in the game. There's only 16 levels, but for each of the first 8 levels, you gain access to higher level gear. They do more damage, and they have stronger defense. So I started playing this game in January, and I was hooked. I'd go out braving the cold weather to hack portals, and I'd learned the hard way that 100 level 2 XMPs is no match for a level 8 portal. I'd run back and forth between spots in my local park, collecting items, making fields, and I'd actively seek out weak spots in the enemy's defenses using the Ingress Intel map. You get a lot of experience from taking down enemy portals, especially if they have fields attached. I was involved in my local resistance team on Google+, and would even get together with multiple Ingress families while we go out for playground picnics and hacking and booming fests. I even decorated my car with the Ingress Resistance logo. About 18 months into the game, I'd made it to level 10 and had amassed a respectable amount of achievements. I was working on one called Sojourner, which, to achieve, you must hack a portal once a day, every day, for 360 days straight. I was on day 93 on vacation in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, when my phone gets dropped into the ice inside a cooler and gets a bit damped. Well, darn. The good news is the phone survived. The rice trick works really, really well. Bad news is that it took a few days to dry out, and this ruined my streak. Totally took the wind out of my sails, and I didn't touch the game for a long time. Now, considering that I was born in 1982, I'm a bit too old to be liking Pokemon. And no, I don't mean that there's some kind of age limit, but rather that when the first games and the show came out, they were marketed to a slightly younger audience than me. I remember I first heard about it when my high school theology teacher came to me with a promotional VHS tape of the initial release of the show and game. I had no idea what it was, I had no idea where he got it, and I didn't even know how to pronounce the thing. Pac-Man? Pokemon? Well, whatever it was, I watched the tape and I wasn't impressed. By that time, I already played Chrono Trigger in Final Fantasy VI, and a one-on-one battle system as rudimentary as the original Dragon Warrior didn't really appeal to me. I'd already watched Vampire Hunter D, and possibly Dragon Ball Z, although I can't really remember the time frame on that, so the show felt like a step back, kind of immature. I'd already played the Star Wars CCG. I had friends who were trying to talk me into playing Magic the Gathering, so I wasn't about to start a new, immature card game. But I do remember, it's a few years later, when I was a senior, the incoming freshmen were obsessed with Pokemon, games and show. I've been pretty familiar with the Pokemon universe, I just never really been interested in it. Now, when I heard that they were going to make a mobile Pokemon AR game, the concept really intrigued me. I thought this is going to be cool. It'd be fun to go out to real-world locations to find a Charmeleon or an Onix. And I was intrigued to see what kind of crazy places you'd need to go to in order to catch a Mewtwo. At the time, I had no idea Niantic was involved, even though I'd been playing Ingress for a long time by then. So here I found myself in the summer of 2016 at my local park with the kids just playing on the playground, and here comes this group of dudes holding their phone in this particular way. So I say to myself, oh hey, I bet that's a group of Ingress players. I knew people played at that park, but in 2.5 years, I'd never actually run across anyone playing there while I was there. And another group shows up. What is going on with this Ingress resurgency, I tell myself. So I open up my phone, I log in, and the friendly robotic voice says, welcome back. I was getting worried about you. So I walk over to who I think is either going to be a new friend or maybe a new enemy, and I say, hey, are you guys with the Resistance? And they reply, what? We're on Valor. Valor? Did they make a third team? Until I noticed that their screen looks very different than mine. No Tron-like graphical display. Oh, Lord. In 1 week, Pokemon Go has managed to do something Ingress had never been able to do. So I learned more about the game, and the more I learn about Pokemon Go, the more pissed off I get. This is garbage! Why is everyone playing a shell of a game that just sits on top of the awesome Ingress? How dare they? Well, guess what? My wife wants to play. My kids want to play. No, I say. We are a Resistance family, not a Pokemon family. Let's go back to playing Ingress. I held out for a while. Even got back into Ingress. Nearly progressed to level 11. Until vacation. One of the things I always like to do when we travel is have a quick hacking session wherever I go. You get achievements for hacking and or capturing unique portals. So we took a trip to Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, at the end of July, and I was excited to nab a bunch of new portals and get close to the new level on some of my badges. But much to my dismay, however, as soon as I started Ingress, the game crashes. I uninstall, reinstall, reboot the phone, try everything I can think of to get the game to work. But it didn't. Well, I'm not going to get worked up over it. I didn't drive 8 hours just to play a silly game. It just would have been nice to have a little AR to play while I'm out at this new location. We just got new phones, so I didn't even have my Spectrex save data. Couldn't play that. And here I was, taking an evening stroll along the resort, and that's when I gave up. My wife's playing Pokemon Go, my son's excited about it, and I know back home the whole office is into it. Can't beat him, might as well join him. So I wound up spending several hours that week trying to catch them all, and came home playing pretty strong. Now when I go out for a run, I catch a few here or there. We take family trips to the local hotspots every now and again. My 7-year-old's in charge of catching and spinning while we drive. And in 5 weeks, I'm now at level 24. And although I am frustrated that I haven't been able to catch a Mewtwo yet, I'm pretty pleased with the game in general, even though Ingress did it better and did it first. So as a fan of Ingress, I am not thrilled to see a lot of people hanging around our neighborhood park playing Pokemon instead of Ingress. But I am glad that people are playing AR games. I kind of wondered, what would happen if Ingress had featured a paragon of pop culture? What if instead of the Enlightened and the Resistance, we had Jacob and Edward from Twilight? Would it have been a runaway smash? Probably not. I'm just thinking out loud. So what is the difference between the two games? Well, let's start with the obvious. It's the teams. In Ingress, you have your choice between Blue Resistance and Green Enlightened, while in Pokemon, you have Blue Mystic, Red Valor, and Yellow Instinct. This has always kind of reminded me of Warcraft 2 and Orcs and Humans, and StarCraft, Terran, Zerg, and Protoss. And this makes me wonder if Niantic's next game is going to have 4 teams, kind of like Warcraft 3. It may be noteworthy to mention that out of all the primary colors and secondary colors, orange and purple are not represented at all, but blue is represented twice. And yes, my teams, Mystic and Resistance, are the blue teams. I've heard many rumors that a blue team was going to be added, a new team was going to be added to Ingress, speculation that it would be colored orange. And while I find that interesting, I wonder if those rumors came from the development of Pokemon Go with 3 teams. So let's dive deeper into the real strategy behind these games. In Ingress, it's all about the team you choose and the battling with other players. Where in Pokemon Go, you can do quite well without ever touching a gym or even choosing a team. I know plenty of casual players who just turn the game on when they go out for a walk, collect whatever happens to appear in front of them, and try to fill their Pokedex. This is cool, and I'm all for it. In this way, it's not very different from Spectrek, and I play that game a lot. The game is a lot of fun in this way, and I wouldn't hold it against anyone to play Pokemon Go with this mindset. In Ingress, however, there is precious little that you can do to earn experience and level up without either strengthening your team's defenses or attacking the opposing team. Now, this system does present opportunities for power leveling, something that is completely missing in Pokemon Go.
If you're with level 8 player and you're just starting out, go to an enemy camp. Have them weaken all the portals, you finish them off. You get thousands of points for destroying enemy control fields, links, and resonators. Plus, your level 8 friend can trade items with you. He probably has an abundance of low-level power cubes for you to use. Even worse, you can make friends with a low-level player on the opposite team, and then you can take turns destroying things that the other one built. Now, none of this is possible in Pokemon Go. The best you have is another player putting a lore module out, but there are businesses doing that all the time. If you have $1, you can do it for yourself. Now, with Pokemon, you're pretty much on your own. The flip side to this is that with Pokemon, there's always something for you to do. In Ingress, if you're not near a portal, there isn't anything that you can actually do in the game, with one notable exception. We'll talk about that later. Now with Pokemon, as long as you've got some gear and an egg, you can go out for a stroll. Even if you didn't catch much, you'll at least get closer to hatching an egg. And I've never been out for a walk without seeing at least 1 or 2 Pidgeys or Rattatas. Granted, both games are decidedly better, played in a nice, densely populated area with portals and Pokestops aplenty. But if you're out in the middle of a cornfield, at least you can do something in Pokemon. So let's talk about these portals. Every single control point in Ingress is a portal. They all do exactly the same thing. And other than a possible tactical advantage due to its location, they're all worth exactly the same thing, every single time. Now, how does this relate to Pokemon? Well, first note that not all Ingress portals made it into the Pokemon game. Take the city of Gaithersburg, for example.
Up here, you'll see Ingress. This is how many portals there are in Ingress, in downtown city of Gaithersburg, right by City Hall. Pokemon Go, on the other hand, quite a bit fewer. They didn't all make it.
Secondly, in Pokemon Go, the portals aren't all the same. Some are Pokestops, some are gyms. Pokestops give you items, and they can be temporarily modified so that you can bring more monsters around, while gyms can be used in battle to control for your team. While there are fewer places to go to get items in Pokemon than in Ingress, in Pokemon, they don't burn out. You can spin a Pokestop forever, all day long, every 5 minutes. So find yourself a nice place where there's a loop, takes you about 5 minutes to walk or bike through, and you spin to win. In Ingress, you can only do the loop 4 times under normal circumstances. There are items that will increase that a bit, but generally when you come back for your 5th time, you'll get a message saying that the portal's been burned out and may take a significant amount of time to reset. Significant means 4 hours. However, unlike in Pokemon, there is a way that you can always get more items from a portal. If you hold down the hack button, you can do a mini game called glyph hacking. It shows you a series of 2 to 5 items depending on the level of the portal, and you have to recreate them in order. Getting even one right will give you a few extra items, but if you manage to get them all right and get them right quickly, you'll more than double the hack output. In addition to this, there are new items that you can buy with real-world money that will increase hack output. I've never used them. I have no idea how they work. But then I heard a rumor about Pokemon. I noticed that every now and again, I'd get a bunch of items from a spin, and I really couldn't figure out why. It appears that if you spin 10 Pokestops in a row, and your 10th spin, you'll get double items and double XP. Kind of cool, but it needs to be done quickly. You have to spin the 10th within 30 minutes, and you can't go more than 10 minutes without spinning. This would be perfect for those of you living in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Now, all the differences between item collection in the two games are fairly superficial. I found that farming items in Pokemon really isn't necessary, because if you're at a place that has a lot of Pokemon, there's also a lot of Pokestops, whereas places with a few stops tend to have few monsters. So with that, I'll bring us to the most important difference between the two games. It's the battling. Ingress. It's all about the battling, and there's no reason to play if you're not going to compete with the other team. As I mentioned earlier, you battle by going near an enemy portal and using items. You may need to use anywhere between 2 and 200 XMP bursters, depending on the level of the XMP and the level of the portal, in order to control the new portal. Upon destruction of the enemy portal, you'll be able to capture it for your team and place your gear on it. Depending on which enemy players are nearby, you may not be holding that portal for very long. Pokemon, very similar in some respects. To capture a gym, you have to be physically at the location in the real world of that gym. Use your strongest Pokemon to battle the Pokemon that were left at the gym by members of the team who currently hold that gym. Those Pokemon were placed there by real players, so battling and moving Pokemon means unseating other human players in the game, just as it does in Ingress. But there's two huge differences: the rewards and the defense. Let's start by talking about the rewards. Battling in gyms in Pokemon Go gains you very little in the way of XP, but you can get Pokecoins this way. It seems to be the only way that you can collect Pokecoins without spending real-world money. And it seems that Pokecoins are the only way to restock your strongest items in the game. The way this works is very strange, however. You have an in-game button that you press, and you collect the Pokecoins that are due to you. You'll get 10 coins and 500 Stardust for every Pokemon that you have currently assigned to a gym. After collecting, there's a 21-hour cooldown on the button before you can collect again. Now, I feel like all this does is encourage a huge turnover rate. Everyone wants to hold a gym, but just long enough to get enough Pokemon in a gym to collect their coins. Only the very strongest players are actually holding gyms for any length of time. Frankly, I see the battle system as a cheap distraction just to do a few times a day. Just enough to get a few coins so you can buy more lures, incubators, lucky eggs. I don't find the battle system fun or compelling at all. It's a time-tapped fest, and it gets really glitchy. You can also work on a gym to raise its level, but in order to do this, you have to either have an extremely strong Pokemon, or you have to put a weak Pokemon in the gym. And even then, it's an extraordinarily dull grind. After taking over the gym, you want your teammates to swarm in and boost the prestige so you can hold it for a long time. But there's no way to communicate with your team in-game. In addition to this, the only way to defend your gym is to actually be right there in it in real world. You're not given any kind of a warning when your gyms are under attack, and even if you did, there's nothing you can do if you're not physically right there at the gym. And even if you were right there at the gym, 2 low-level attackers can take short order of anyone trying to defend a gym. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see a winning strategy anywhere here. Ingress, on the other hand, rewards you handsomely for attacking, defeating, and capturing. Taking down an enemy portal gets you loads of experience, and bringing down enemy control fields even more. This is very well balanced, because if you're not extremely well geared, going into a heavily fortified enemy field is suicidal. There's very little that you'll be able to accomplish unless you're evenly matched. And this is further balanced because you could always just go in and hack, which will get you a small amount of experience, so at least you can get something in the enemy fields. You're never completely sucked. And by the time you've gained a few levels and gotten a few items, you can start picking off the weak enemy resonators. Once they're cleared, you'll get a lot of experience putting your own resonators on these portals, adding shields, making links and fields. So this leads me to the biggest differentiator between these two games: recharging. I mentioned earlier that if you found yourself in the middle of a cornfield with no portals nearby, there wouldn't be anything for you to do in the game. With one exception: recharging. Resonators need to be recharged, as they lose a little bit of energy every day. Left alone, a resonator will decay, and it'll be gone within a couple of days. If, however, you save a little bit of your energy, send it to that resonator, it'll stay at full energy. When recharging becomes very important is when your portal is under attack. If an enemy begins to attack your portal, the resonators lose energy very quickly, and you can recharge them right then and there. While a low-level player won't be able to prevent a high-level player from taking a portal by recharging, a low-level player won't be able to take a portal from a high-level player who is recharging. The defender probably won't be able to stop an attacker if they're the same level, but he will make it extremely difficult, and this is the fun of the game. Imagine you're out in a hotbed of heavily contested portals, airport, amusement park, someplace like that. You're a resistance player who arrives to find that everything is green. You attack, you claim the park for yourself, but 2 minutes later, your phone buzzes with notices that your portals are under attack. You open up the game and furiously start recharging, all the while looking around to spot the goon who's been attacking your portals. You catch a sight of somebody off in the corner, furiously tapping on his phone, and give a big grin as you make eye contact, and then redouble your efforts, furious tapping. Sometimes the players want to meet, other times don't, but it's always fun to get into a battle with a stranger who's right there with you. And Ingress comes with an in-game chat and warnings to tell you who's attacking your portals, so that maybe later you can send the villain a message. Or maybe you agree to join the local Enlightened Chapter so you can concentrate your efforts on taking over humankind. In the game, of course. Pokemon doesn't offer anything of the sort. First, let's say you're taking your lunch break at work and someone starts attacking your gym. You won't even get any kind of notice about it. Secondly, although there may be a Team Instinct group on Google+, I wouldn't know how to find it. And thirdly, if you already collected your Pokecoins for the day, there really isn't much incentive to holding a gym anyway. So ultimately, it's my humble opinion that Ingress may be a little more one-dimensional of a game. Its only real objective is to gain territory and then lose that territory so that you can gain it back. Pokemon Go, on the other hand, does have a nice twofold approach to it. Capture the monsters and then have those monsters fight. Its downfall, however, is a very shallow and ultimately unrewarding fight mechanic. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm really enjoying the time that I'm spending in Pokemon, but somewhat like my personal feelings on Diablo 3, as much fun as it is, it doesn't quite compare to those that came before. Now, before I close out, I'd like to point out that I am recording here at Bradfield Crossing. This is a portal that I submitted to Niantic and had added to Ingress. This is obviously one of those portals that made it into Pokemon Go. Now, this portal is in the middle of the woods. There's no major trails nearby, no easy public access. Now, there may be a reason why an Ingress player would come out here to this portal, as you are rewarded for capturing unique portals, and sometimes locations of the portals are essential to field creation. But there's absolutely no reason at all for a Pokemon player to come out here. There's plenty of other Pokestops or gyms nearby, and all of them are much more easily accessible. Now, when you pull this portal up on Ingress, you see my handle, Gryrock, in the bottom corner. And I wish they had kept that in Pokemon somewhere, just as a nod to those players who came before. Now, before I sign off, 2 really quick side notes. First, my 7-year-old son and I watched the first couple episodes of Pokemon, the original show, on Netflix the other day. And I have to say, I really liked Pikachu a lot better when he was a jerk. I've always known him as that cute, cuddly, and saccharine sweet icon from the franchise. But I never realized that in the first episode, he was a really cantankerous rodent. Lastly, I got a very amusing email from Niantic the other day. Apparently, they're saving my handle for me, Gryrock. But as you can see, I've decided to rebrand myself for Pokemon Go. Now, when I came out here to record, I put a lure module on this Pokestop. And I was kind of hoping that maybe somebody would swing by to see what was going on. However, in the time that I've been here, nobody has shown up. I'm not really surprised, as I say it's a rather remote location, but I am slightly disappointed. Thank you very much for watching.